Okay, so I've got a 2002 S10 Chevy with the 4.3 in it. Switching the column out due to we had some, I guess you'd say, meth heads in the area actually came in, stole the truck. When they stole the truck, they attempted to hotwire it, but was too ignorant to figure it out, and then ended up drilling the ignition out. Still was unable to start it, so they actually ended up breaking the shift linkage on the column and then rolling it down over to the hill to a building nearby. We ended up getting the truck back, but unfortunately the column was all jacked up in it and they'd cut some of the wiring and everything else, so ended up going out and picking up a 1998 S10. It appears to be the same, but I haven't got the 98 S10 column and everything taken out yet to see if it's an exact match. I'm just crossing my fingers that it will work, but we picked up another S10. Like I said, it's a 1998 model, and hoping that it's going to work. So I wanted to come in here first off. I got this column out last night. It wasn't too big of a job. Just kind of wanted to show you a few things here first or whatever before we got out there working on the 98, pulling it apart. But of course the plastic cover, got it all taken off. That was the first thing. Once I got the plastic cover taken off, I come in here and in order to take the plastic cover off, you have the breaker lace. I'll go over that. Took me a minute to figure it out, but it actually in order to get the plastic piece out and away from the dash, it actually runs up. The cable runs up and through this here, and then connects back into the back of the emergency brake, and you just kind of pull on it, disconnect the wire, and then you take the whole thing out with the plastic panel, so it's actually still on it. And I'll show you here. This is what I was talking about. You get your breaker lace, and it doesn't really want to disconnect here and pull through. It comes out this way, so instead of just taking the whole thing off, I just left it on and disconnected it here from the bracket underneath the dash here. You can feel focus in. It just disconnects from right here. You just flip it up and pull it off, and then the whole thing comes out. So anyway, I got that off. I was able to take the plastic off from there. Once you get the plastic off from there, then you've got your plug boxes here. I actually ended up pulling it off from that gray piece, but in fact there's actually, I think it's a 8mm bolt that goes through and plugs in, and if you unplug that, it just pulls that right off. You got this yellow plug up here, up above it, that you have to get off right here. Just a simple little clip. And the bulb here, when you unscrew the plastic, it's actually hooked underneath the steering wheel, the light. And once you get all your electrical unhooked, you do have to pop off this cable off the column, and it just pops straight off. You just apply a little sideways pressure, it pops straight off. It's actually, it goes on right here. As you can see, this is what I was talking about with what they did here with the wires. They cut and was attempting to hot wire the truck, which didn't play out for them, or pan out for them. I guess it didn't work, but you can see where they busted the whole ignition off. It's all busted and broke loose. And anyway, that's what you get when you got a bunch of dope heads, I guess. So, but anyway, this steering wheel here, the first thing I took off was this metal pan bracket or whatever. I'm not even sure what they call it, but it's just 4 simple bolts. Let's see here. Once I got them 4 bolts there out, then you move up to the column here. You have these. See this bolt. See, it's right here bolted just like that, and it's just nuts is all it is. You can see there, You just take them 4 out and it comes right off, and then that would leave your column in. And then in order to get your column out, you have see these here and these back here. You got the 2 here and then the 2 here. You got to take the nuts off, and then the column, there's a rubber boot that comes up on this here. I'll show you in just a second, with a rubber boot that comes up, and then you have your shaft that comes out. And if to get that rubber boot, you can pull the rubber boot up. I'll show you on this column here real quick. It's got this rubber boot. Let me get my, see here. Get this. Anyway, you can see how it just clips right there. And there's 3 of them. You just pop them off, and then it'll slide down. And there's actually a bolt that goes through behind here. I can get pulled back enough. It goes through here, and you can actually pull that out, because from like here down, is actually going to be going through the firewall. And I was wanting to take it loose up here, but when I was yanking and pulling and trying to pull it out, it actually ended up pulling it all the way out. I don't know if that's the best thing in terms of how hard it's going to be to get it back down in there. I'm not real sure. I'll let you know as I go here, but it pulled it plumb up out of the box or whatever. I wish it just pulled it loose here, but then again, it may have been a booger even trying to get that back on with that other column. So we'll just see, but hopefully everything matches up and we'll just go from there. But just kind of wanted to give a little overview here with the column laying out and with it out of the truck, so you can just kind of get a gist of what everything looks like. Okay, so now I'm out here with this 1998 S10, getting ready to take and pull the column out of it and try to go through as best as I can. Sometimes it's hard to get good camera angles, but go ahead and try to get it pulled out for you. First off, like I talked about before, you got to get this here release taken loose back in the back, the cable from it, so that when we pull this plastic piece off, the whole thing will come out and it won't be stuck in our way. So the first thing you want to do is, if you get up underneath here, this cable here, if you take and, if you can see, you can kind of pull this metal up. I'm trying to do it one-handed here, and once you do, you just pull that cable up and out, and then it pulls it free. So as you see here, it kind of leaves it loose, so it's not hooked anymore. So once I come in here and I take these here screws out, there's one here, one down here, one here. I'm not sure, they've got a electric brake hooked up on this truck, so I have to get it out of the way. There should be another one down here under, yeah, it's right here underneath of it. I have to take all that loose and get it out of the way. But once you take them screws out, you can pull this whole piece down. Now when on the 2002 or whatever, there was I don't know if this truck originally would have had it or not, but there was actually a plastic that went here as well, and it's the same screws. There's just a couple more of them. It's a 7mm, I do believe it is. I think it's 7mm. If not, it's 8, but I believe it's 7mm. Anyway, you gotta take them out, and then that'll drop this whole plastic piece down. Anyway, let me get them screws out and we'll go from there. Okay, so I got all the screws taken out or whatever. There's the 4 main screws, and then I had a couple underneath. There's that your diagnostic plug. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's that one right down here in the very bottom. It's the black and blue. It had a couple screws holding it on, and then this plug here. It's where your bulb for underneath the dash is. It's just screwed in right here in the middle. I went ahead and took it out so it wouldn't be hooked up. The only thing that's now left holding it is like I was talking about, the brake cable there for the emergency brake release, if it'll focus. And in the first of the video there, you remember me disconnecting it, so it's pretty much just laying back up in here, and you gotta kind of finagle your plastic around and get up in there and push it up and through this little hole right here. So I'll go ahead and do that and get that pulled out. can't exactly do that with the camera rolling, because can't do it with one hand here. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got it, the cable fished up and out of there. As you can see, it just goes down this little rubber grommet here. It just pops in, like I said there earlier. I can get it to focus in. Clear view anyway. Okay, that little rubber grommet, it would hook in right here on this piece of metal. The cable hooks in here. You just disconnect it, and then you just fish it up and out and through that hole there. And then this piece of plastic will be completely removed. You can go ahead and get it out of your way. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and take this, I'm not even real sure what it's called. It's just a metal brace bracket, whatever, that comes around the bottom. So it's got the two on this side and 2 on this side that you have to take out. And then it'll just drop this piece down. Really nothing else to it. Let's see if I can do this with one hand here. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. The nuts didn't come all the way off. Yeah, there they are. Okay, so anyway, I went ahead and got my nuts pulled off. You can see it drops this metal bracket here down and out of the way, so I can go ahead and get it pulled out. And that exposes us to the underside of this column here. Okay, so once we get to this point, we need to go ahead and disconnect some of the electrical plugs, as well as our linkage here. If you notice this linkage here, it's our shift linkage. You just have to disconnect the one on this side. The bar on this side, it actually comes back in and connects into the column. So the one here on this side, you leave. This one, you just simply get up in here and, well, I say simply, but you need one to come on this one. Get up in here and, let's see here if I got a screwdriver. Let me back up here and hard to do with one hand. And oh, there we go. Okay, so I got that linkage there off. Okay, just pop it off. It's just got a little ball and a pit here, and it comes right off. Okay, because that's going to come on down, and it also goes in here, which is hooked to the column. It's just a bracket to hold it in place. You see this metal little clip here? What you got to do with it, you just get you a little screwdriver or something, put up in there. Get it where that cable ain't in the way. You can actually see it here, and that just slides out. Okay, once you slide that piece there out, it's just a little clip, and what that does is enables you to actually take and push in right here. Sorry, try to get the camera up here. Push in right there, and it's got one on a little clip here and a little clip here on the top and the bottom. You gotta get them pushed in, and then you can push that through. Okay, so it'll slide on through. Can't exactly do that with one hand, so give me just a second here. Okay, so you see what I was talking about here. In order to get that out of that bracket there, you have to squish in on these top clips here and then pull it straight and down. It'll focus on that right there. You got to pull it through the back side and it'll come right out. So that disconnects that from the column, and then you got your main wiring harness coming down off your column, and it comes into this plug box here. You just simply take this bolt right here out and pull it off. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. And I don't know if I said it before, but that metal bracket that was here, that was a 10 millimeter. The one that takes the box here out, the electrical box, see, that's going to be a 7 millimeter there as well. Most of them are 7 millimeter. The one that takes that metal bracket off, like I said, it is a 10, but the rest of these I believe are probably 7 millimeter, I think. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so then that goes ahead and separates it. They've got some other wires that they've run in here. It's kind of interfering with me now, though. It was aftermarket. It looks like they've got their brake box here, one of their wires. They run it around and through this wiring harness, so I'm going to get something. And that ain't a factory thing on a truck, though, so I'll have to go ahead and I'll pull that wire out. And don't really plan on using this truck anyway. It's just going to be a parts truck, so I'm going to have to go run and get me some up. Let's see if it's coming apart now. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to get that white wire pulled off there because I do not need it. That's all it is simply things for the electric brake. So once I got that disconnected, you've got this wire here and harness that comes down off your main column light. You've got a little yellow bracket there that goes in, so I'm just gonna reach up there, pull this orange tab out. Okay, once you pull the orange tab out, what that does is it allows you to go ahead and push down on the clip. It's hard getting up in here. Sorry, it's really hard to get this thing to focus. Okay, so anyway, I pulled that orange tab out, and you're just gonna push in on this clip up in here, and then sometimes you gotta get a screwdriver on it and pry down on the clip there. So there we go. Okay, so that's all my wiring there that's disconnected from the column. You just got the big bracket here, your yellow bracket here, your shift linkage, which come off from right there, and pretty sure that's it for the wiring. And now we're gonna have to take out this bolt here, this bolt here on the other side, and then you've got one of these on each side. One there, and if I can get a angle on it, and one there. Okay, and what that's going to do is that at that time, then your column's going to drop down and pretty much pull out. You do have this boot back here, and that's what I was talking about on the other column. You can take, if you notice right here, there's little plastic clips. Just get it with your finger or a screwdriver, either one. And there's 3 of them on this column. I can see what I'm doing here. Anyway, it just pops off, and then you come over here, angle on it, and if you'll notice right here where I'm pointing with the screwdriver, there's another one right here. There, it went ahead and clipped. I'm able to get it. So yeah. And then there's another one up here on top. So you go ahead and get them popped off. What it does is you can push this boot down, and there's actually, if I can get it, there's a nut and a bolt that goes through and connects your column. Okay, once you take that out, you can pull this column straight out from right there. But even after I got that nut off and pulled it out, when I pulled it out, it pulled the whole column out of, I guess it's, you know, the linkage down in there, like into the gearbox or the steering box, I guess, that's actually on the other side of the firewall. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just go ahead and pull these 4 bolts out and just kind of give it a pull, see if the whole thing comes out. Because if it does, that's how my other column came out. So I'm going to go ahead and get these 4 bolts taken out, and we'll go from there. This here, these are 15 millimeters that take it off. Like I said, there's the 2 back here. Hold it to the column. Okay, and then we've got the 2 on the top here. And at this point, like I said, these are 15 millimeter. Went ahead and took the 2 on the bottom off, took the 1 up here off. Once I drop this next one, it's going to go ahead and let this column drop. So be prepared, because if, like in this case, they've got some wires, additional wires that are kind of running around here that wasn't factory wires. You don't want it to drop down and yank and rip it all out. So you might want to lay something up there, have somebody else hold the column for it. I'm just going to put my hand on it to kind of catch it, but it's going to go ahead and let this column fall now. So you can see it's go ahead and come on down here. I shouldn't have anything else holding the column in at this point in time. I'm going to kind of take another look around here before I go yanking on it, just to make sure. But the column, like I said, that other one, whenever I went to take it out, even though I'd pulled this off and took the bolt out on the back of it, it just went ahead and pulled straight out of the box. So I'm guessing that's probably what this one's going to do too. So go ahead and give it a little pull. Yep, there it went. Okay, so we've got all them bolts pulled out, holding it up here to keep it from falling and dropping out. Just going to kind of give it a little bit of a pull, and here's something still hanging a little. That other one, it just pulled. Oh, there we go. Okay, so like I said, it just comes straight up and out and pulled it out of the gearbox down there. This is what I was talking about earlier on that other column. This boot here, of course, that's the little clips. Take and pop them off and they'll slide down a little bit. And I took this one out of the other column in the other truck and pulled the bolt all the way out. When I tried to pull it out, it still pulled the whole piece out. So I'm hoping that I don't have any issues taking this column and putting back in the other one with this piece on. I don't think I will, but I just wanted to point that out. It is supposed to separate here, but you know, when I separated it and gave it a little bit of a pull, it took the whole thing anyway, so I didn't bother taking this one out. So anyway, so we've got the whole column here. Don't even have to bother taking any of this plastic or anything off. You just drop the plastic underneath. You've got your 4 main bolts here. Got your main wiring harness. Has a 7 millimeter here. These are 15 millimeters that take the main bolt out. You got to take your little clip off. Now that I've got it out and you can see it a little better, I'll show you how like this one here works. You'll notice it had that orange thing up in it. You just pull it out, and then you have to push down on that tab to unplug it from underneath the dash. This here, like I said, just bolt, pull it out. This here, the one linkage, the ball linkage, it's still underneath there. The shift linkage, it comes up, and that's pretty much it. We'll have to get it put back in now and go from there. Okay, so we've got the column out. This is the new column that'll be going in this truck. The reason I'm taking the plastic off is because, of course, they drilled and messed up our other one and busted the whole, you know, key switch assembly and everything out. And this truck here, when I bought it, did not come with a key. So even though I got a new column and all that, I'm still going to end up having to put a new ignition switch in this columm. So I've got to take all this plastic off, and the way I did that is on the bottom. This is the bottom here. You got to be really careful with this. These tabs here, you can see how they kind of lock in here on the corners. There's one on each side. And once you take your bolts out, this column here, it's had the, you know, one of the bolts here, it's a let's see what size that was here. I think it's a T20. No, wrong one. It was a T25, I believe. Yeah, it's T25. And the little hex bits there. You take the two screws out that's in the bottom. This would be the bottom of your column. You take them out. Everything kind of comes loose, but it'll still be stuck in here because of these clips. Once you get the clips popped off, it is a challenge to finagle. You can see this here. It's where your tilt steering is. You got to finagle it. Be really careful not to break these clips and everything if you're going to reuse this piece. Putting it back on, finagle it and pop it off. Once it comes off, you'll be like, well, what in the world's holding the top piece now? Well, if you look over here, you'll see, and I'm not even real sure what that's called. It actually looks like a T25 hex bit, but it's actually a screw there. Okay, in order to get it out, I found after kind of messing around there for a minute, I got a 4mm socket. It's just a normal socket. It'll actually fit right down and over it, and we'll get it unscrewed and take a look from there. So see if there's anything else. I don't believe there is, but let's get that screw there out. And okay, it's let loose now, so that's no longer holding it. Let's flip this thing over. Maybe that screw will fall out here, or not. Okay, so that's what that is. Just a little bolt there. We'll save that. And then this piece here, I think at this point, yep, it'll pop right up and out of there. Okay, so then it opens it all up for us. Okay, so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to get in here on these ignitions too. The way they normally work, if you have an ignition that actually goes bad on these, let's see if I can adjust the camera here. Okay, so the ignition here, the way you normally replace these, it's actually a cylinder that goes in. You can see there I'm pushing on it. And the way you would actually get these out normally is you would put a key in, okay, and then you turn your key to the on position. Well, not even to the on position. You'd want to disconnect your battery. If this was in the truck still, you disconnect your battery, you put the key in, and you turn it all the way over as if you're starting it. Okay, once you're cranking on it like you're starting it, then you come up here and you just take like a little dowel pin of any kind, and you see this hole right here in the top. You push down in it, and that's a release pin. But this has to be over in the like engage, like it's starting the truck, while you push down there, and this whole cylinder here will come right out. And then to put another one in, you just put it in and it'll pop into place. Taking into account I don't have a key on this, in order to replace this here though, I'm going to actually have to take and bust this plastic piece off. I'm going to have to take a drill bit. I'm going to actually wait till I get my new, and I should have it in a few days, cylinder, and see exactly how long that cylinder is, so I can measure a drill bit, and I should be able to just gradually start drilling back in there with a small drill bit, go to a bigger drill bit, till I can get the guts busted out of this, where I can put a whole new piece in. So I'm gonna have to wait a day or so on that till I get that piece in, and then we'll just go from there.